Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is L.A. Williams, and I am here live on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and we are less than 12 hours removed from the most anticipated interview ever in the professional automotive sales. That's what I said. In the history of professional automotive sales. Right? Yeah, y'all know I can do voices and all that stuff, right? So, man, we had Mr. Reda on last night. Sean V. Bradley was interviewing him. And, man, it was 2 hours of just phenomenalness, right? It was 2 hours of greatness. And it was so much so that we have to kind of do a recap. Like, we got to kind of do some analysis and things like that. So, man, I'm just going to welcome my main man, Mr. Sean V. Bradley, to come in. He's fresh off a plane. So, you man, listen, we always working, right? So we did the interview, maybe got a couple hours of sleep. I don't even know if you did, Sean, but he hopped on a plane, went straight to the office, and, now we're having this conversation. And so, Sean, talk to me, man. How you feeling?
Listen, I'm feeling great. I'm in the best shape of my life. Yo, look, I'm short and stocky, built like Rocky. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good, brother. I'm feeling good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I spent the last 2 days in Akron, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, with a 15 rooftop dealer group, about 3 of their stores. I was working with them, and it's pretty intense. It's a major project. These are big boys. You know what I mean? Like, this is major league stuff. Then in the middle of everything, we had this webinar, but let me just talk to you about this because this was kind of crazy. So Ali's been interviewed on Fox News. He's been on ABC's To Tell the Truth in front of millions of people. He has been interviewed at different conferences, Digital Dealer, etc. I've interviewed him live before at Digital Dealer. We've had podcasts with this and that, but Ali is a member of the Millionaire Car Salesman Facebook group. He's an active member, and Ali approached me and said, Sean, I'm just so floored that you have the most incredible group I've seen on the internet for our industry. Such engagement, such value. I have an idea, said Ali. How about we do a first time ever interactive webinar? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, Sean, people have interviewed him and they've live streamed it, but they never allowed the audience to participate and ask questions. And then, obviously I talked to you about it, LA, and we're like, oh, hell to the yeah. And guys, I got to just tell you, like, with $0, we put $0 in marketing advertising. We didn't do one Facebook or Instagram boost, just purely organic from our group and our network. We only were supposed to have 500 seats. We actually registered over capacity at 620 seats. 620 people registered for the webinar. Then we live streamed it in the Millionaire Car Salesman group with 15,100 elite members. Simultaneously, you'll see me in the video. I had my iPhone 11 Pro, and I was live streaming on my Sean V. Bradley YouTube channel. It's got 13,000 subscribers. Then we had this crazy contest, Ellie, which I'm gonna let you tell them about. But then we had all these people that were doing watch parties and everything. So tell them about the contest that we gave.
Yeah, man. So we had some really powerful players want to jump in. And this kind of came about at the last minute. So I apologize if your products didn't get in this thing. But, man, Build a Brand, man. My man Cameron Moore from Build a Brand offered a Build a Brand website. They're getting an hour of direct coaching from myself, from Karen Bradley, and Sean V. Bradley. And lastly, and of course not least, Mr. Reda himself. He's going to go, a coaching hour. And on top of that, for a manager, he's going to do a 30-minute sales meeting for his team, for the manager's team. So it's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, and a whole entire month of Bradley Demand.
Absolutely, 100%. I was saving that for the absolute last. So that's okay. Yeah, man. It's going to be. I mean, what we're getting ready to do is crazy, and the crazy thing is, one of the winners is getting announced today, and then I'm actually putting something else on the table, man, because I don't like for people to just throw out numbers. So last night, we asked how many cars you're going to sell in the month of February, and everybody wanted to kind of throw out crazy numbers, but Ali gave a specific system in order to get from 20 to 30 cars, from 30 to 50, from 50 to 70. 70, and then from 70 to 100. And so I'm like, hey, man, who's actually going to listen? Because that's one of the rules. If you are going to be a part of one of our webinars, you have to follow the rules. And the whole point is to win. So don't be on that webinar and then sell the same amount or less cars next month than you did this month, or next year than you did or this year than you did last year. You gotta improve. That's the whole point of us doing this webinar and these podcasts and things is for people to win, right? And so that was a huge deal what we did. And again, we're gonna add something additional. I don't even know what it is yet, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be phenomenal for someone who actually hits their number and can show us their process written down. Like Ali said, make sure that you write down what you do every 15 minutes of the day. That way you can find out all the time that you're wasting. So, man, I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So I'm excited.
No, I'm super excited. So let's start where we began yesterday. So LA, I got to just tell you, to have a person that has accomplished what Ali has is truly staggering, because there's millions and millions and technically billions of people, but the reality is that car sales has not been since the dawn of civilization. Only in the last 100 plus years have they had machines that go vroom vroom. So again, but still in the last 110, 120 years, however long the first Model T Ford came out on the assembly line. If you think about it, right, like there's only one person in the world that has done what Ali has done. And so, right now the world is reeling with the whole loss of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi and the other 7 people that were, that lost their lives tragically. And it's so crazy because, if you look at different industries, we talked about like whether you like Tom Brady or not, Tom Brady is an iconic, quarterback, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Nick Foles now, and obviously Carson Wentz and Donovan McNabb, all these people, right? Then you've got like Michael Jordans, you've got LeBron James, you've got Shaquille O'Neal. Then you've got like in baseball, like Derek Jeter. You in different sports, you've got elite athletes in the boxing. You got Mike Tyson, you've got Evander Holyfield, you've got of course Floyd Mayweather. You see what I'm saying? So there's these people that are very, very rare. And so just a couple days ago, the world lost Kobe Bryant, and you don't expect that. And so to us, hopefully Ali lives to be a long, old centenarian, you know what I mean? But, the fact that we have one of our own people that we could claim, like people from LA claim Nipsey and Hustle, and maybe they'll claim, Kobe Bryant or whoever from the Lakers. This is our shit, man. If you think about it.
Kobe from Philly, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted.
They're trying to adopt him. I know they're trying to adopt him.
We got Will Smith. We got Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. We got L.A. Williams. You know what I'm saying? New York got Sean V. Bradley.
No, but here's my point, though, is check this out, brother. Here's the crazy part is that think about this. For so long, it was embarrassing to be a car salesman, if you had any morals or ethics. This is one of the things that why our business is so transient and why there's such a high attrition, is that still in 2020, people still feel dirty or embarrassed saying that they work at a car dealership, they're a car salesman. But follow where I'm going with this. I'm going somewhere deep for a second here. In our industry, we, the stereotypes like the Badger commercials, Ming Blue, these negative things, these scumbag, shady people, but yet Ali is the anti-person. And after 2 hours straight with this man, you could hear his heart, his soul, his integrity, his compassion, his empathy. I'm proud he's a car salesman. You know what I mean? Because not only for the wealth and success and that stuff, but because a car salesman, living vicariously through Ali's successes isn't the typical, personification. It's a whole nother level. It is elite. It's professional. It's legendary. Can you build what I'm trying to, lay down here, brother?
Absolutely, man. I think, again, there's only a few greats. And the thing is, when it's, like you said, for different industry, there's greats. Let's kind of go to my industry, the music industry, where I come from. You got the Michael Jacksons, and I know it's, some controversy surrounding that. But again, he was still great, right? And then you got, the Beyoncés, you got the Luther Vandross, you got the Whitney Houstons, right? So there's some great, you got the, the Beatles and what they brought to the table. You got, Jimi Hendrix and what he brought brought to the table. You got the Grover Washingtons, right? So there's greats. And so again, before Ali Reda, I mean, when you think about it, what you had, Joe Girard, I mean, when it comes to the greatest salesman in the world, as far as cars are concerned, there really wasn't a lot of people that you could think of that would be the greatest in the industry, right? There was no Tom Brady for the sale of the car sales industry. There was no, and so that's what we're saying. So when you get to hang around, the top person in the daggum industry, the top salesperson in the industry, and interview him and get to see who he is as a person, man, I'm telling you, and he really kind of talks about it. He's like, man, I'm just regular, right? And I know it's tough for us to see our heroes as regular people, but in order for us to ascend to higher levels, we have to understand that they put on their pants one leg at a time, like the rest of us, and things like that. But it's absolutely amazing to even the way he broke it down. I heard things last night that I had never heard before. People, they're like, "How? It's not possible. It's not possible." And
wait a minute. Before you go there, wait a minute, LA. Before you go there, I'm going to build into something a little bit. I want to redirect this for a second. Okay, so. The thing that I really want to hammer in though is let's talk about like these other basketball players. You know what I mean? Even if they were bitter rivals, play against Kobe, but real recognizes real. You know what I'm saying? Like a real motherfucker that's secure with themselves. They ain't haters. Hating on another person is a bitch ass thing. And so my point being is that if you are a real baller, I'm saying if you really ball, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to respect Kobe Bryant's hustle. You got to respect Michael Jordan. Whether they like his style or not doesn't matter. You can't deny the talent. Just like I heard Ebro in the morning from Hot 97 talking about Eminem. He said Eminem raps how black people live their life. This is what Ebro said in this controversy because they said that black men and you're African American, so black men have to run and sometimes work harder, 3 times, 5 times harder. You know what I mean? Because they've got the negative stereotype. With all this other stuff. Eminem, because he's white, he's got to be a 5 times better lyricist, a 5 times better rapper, because he's already got like 2 strikes to get him because he's a white boy in a predominantly black thing. So my point being here is that if you are a lyricist, like, Papoose or like, Kendrick Lamar, whomever, your real lyricists respect the bars of another lyricist. And so my whole point here is that for me, I'm a fucking automotive professional, brother. I mean, I am not just in, just for show. Like I'm a millionaire car salesman. I love this industry. I'm a dealer's advocate. So as a tactician, as a practitioner, as a technical artist of automobile sales, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not one dimensional. I'm like the MMA of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like I respect his G because I busted my ass. I was getting banking. I was selling 33 cars, 30 cars a month. This dude adding an extra 100 on top of that. So for me, it's just like mind blowing. Now, there's different levels to shit because, people say that's great. Again, if somebody owns a dealership, they're making tens of billions of dollars, not just, $1.5 million a year or what have you. But so it's not about even the money. It is just what this person has done, is just so far out of the whack. It's crazy. He's mine. He's ours. You know what I'm saying? Just like, Kobe and Jordan are the NBAs. Those are those stars. He belongs to us. Do you feel what I'm saying, brother?
I totally feel what you're saying, man. Like I said, every industry, deserves it. Every industry deserves their rock star. And Sean, you've been talking about this for the longest of times, even back in, 2011, 2012, when we really started to kind of build our career together. That was a conversation that you had. You said, man, the automotive industry needs their rock star. Right. And, actors and entertainment. Look, actors, we got Denzel Washington's, right? Nobody's going to refute that he's one of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? You've got it's just so many different names. Obviously, we could go over, a whole bunch of them, right? The Morgan Freemans, voice actors, things like that. We talked about Will Smith, who kind of dominated multiple industries, right? Again, there's great people. I can see, again, Ali talks about it. He's a business owner, and I can see him transcending, right? But like you said, the simple fact that he is the automotive industry's number one is something special and something to be respected.
Right on, especially when the industry is plagued, like I kind of just, joke and say like it's a bubonic plague. It's like it's an epidemic of colossal proportions that people are complacent with mediocrity. Damn, you
Right.
see this complexity of that vocabulary there. People rewind that shit on the podcast. So, so let's get into this in the meat and
Wait, let's name one more because I gotta name him among another great, right? If I ask who's the greatest investor of all time, you could also give us that answer, right? Mr. Warren Buffett. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. If you don't know these greats, again, you ain't really in the industry. It's so interesting sometimes how I go, I'll talk to people about, hey, Ali Reda, and they're like, who? What? You don't even belong in our industry. You got to know. How do you not know the number one in your industry? You ain't really in the industry. Sorry.
Oh, rewind that stuff because rewind that. That's a dope statement. It's so true because this is what I talk to you about. If you're in the automotive industry, you need to immerse yourself in your career. You've got to master your craft like you were, trying to get a master's degree or PhD in any, conventional curriculum. You know what I mean? Like that's how hard you got to work at this shit because, it's just, to your point, dude, it's so strong and so valid is how could you be an automotive professional if you don't even know who the number one, number three, number four, number five are? You know what I mean? Like how could you ever try to say that you're really trying to be the best you could be? How could you be the best that you could be if you don't even know what the barometer is? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's crazy, man. Like people don't know that dude is. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad we get to have this conversation. So kind of go ahead and jump in. What's the first idea that really stood out to you from last night that you want to share with the people?
Okay, so this is what stood out with me because it's before we even got on, and this is what I led with. It was the first question because Ali's been interviewed a bunch, and think about it. When you find out there's a little boy named Ryan's Toys that made $59 million in 3 years at age 8 years old, if you ever had a chance to talk to him, you had one question you ask, it would be how? How did you do it, dude? How'd you do it, little kid? Mom, Dad, how'd you get your little kid to do that shit? So that's the thing that Ali gets, and some people get so stuck. It's almost like LA. If somebody hits you with price and you don't know how to handle it or how to, respond and then further qualify to find the route. The issue is that people always ask Ali the same thing. And it's like, we're doing this again. I mean, he answers the question 50 million times. So I said to him, Ali, you know what I mean? What's the most important question? Like nobody knows you better than you. So flip yourself into my like Barbara Walters, Wolf Blitzer, interviewer, mode. And what would you ask Ali Reda, Ali Boumaier of the industry? And he said, Sean, I think the most important question that should be asked and answered is, why are we doing this? And so I want you to start because you know what he said, because that shows his integrity and his caliber. And this was what the whole Kobe Bryant thing is. So can you share with our audience, like when we asked Ali, why are you doing this? You're not getting paid $1 and it's the end of the month, dude, at 8 p.m. after you just worked an entire day, sold a gazillion cars. Why are you doing in this webinar interactive in front of tens of thousands of people? And he said,
plain and simple, it's for the love. Right? For the love of the industry, for the love of, just success and just wanting people to kind of succeed and thrive in life. Man, he's so, like you said, he's the most unselfish person. I mean, you can't even say thank you to him without him saying thank you back. I mean, I'm telling you, it was a character lesson last night that we really had, because people need to kind of get that. So yeah, it's absolutely for the love. It's absolutely because he already said he doesn't look at anyone as competition. He looks at it like, man, if I can help you in any way. And he said he learned that specifically from Kobe. We had a picture of him with Kobe over the last 12 years ago, right? Which is, before he started at his latest dealership in 2010. So this might have been 2008, 2009. But the picture, he said that they had a specific conversation about that where it's like, hey, I want the industry to be better because I was here. I want people to be better because, I influenced them in some way, shape, or form, kind of how Kobe has. Joel Embiid said himself that I saw Kobe play in the 2009 championship, and that made me want to play basketball. That's the reason why I played. And now Joel Embiid is one of the top players in the daggum league. So, man, Ali Reda is just, it's across industries, man. This is just a human being thing.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it is absolutely just really humbling to see the gratitude. And you know what's crazy is that he lives his mission and vision, because that he said the key to his success is just being entrenched in relationships, altruistically, not looking for anything. You know, somebody asked, well, what's the word track to get a referral? He said, there is no word track. And he said this, which blew me away, which I loved. He said, do kids in kindergarten need a word track to communicate with each other? That was some gangster shit right there.
Fire.
Like that was like, yo, he just, and he lobbed it like the Matrix, like Keanu Reeves, like with the bullets flying. Like he did, like somebody said, what is the word track to get a referral? And he's like, what word track? I mean, like it was just so like Zen Kung Fu Grandmaster response. Yo, I was like, damn, some respect on that right there. That was dope. And so, but he personifies that, because that's why he did this webinar. Because here's the thing, is that he didn't start where he's at right now. You know what I mean? Like he even said in 2010, he was only averaging 30 cars a month. So literally in less than 10 years, he went from 30 cars a month to 130 cars a month.
7 years.
Yeah. You know what my favorite part of the entire thing was? Can you guess? You got 30 seconds. My most favorite fucking part.
Just tell us.
Okay, here's my favorite part. Like, Ali is the most humble person ever, but just for 1 second, he said the most gangster shit. Like he was operating in Sean Bradley's world for a minute. You know what he said? He said, you know what? I remember when I was really excited because I heard I could earn $100,000 a year. And I said, and he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. And you know what? I'm here to tell you that you could do that per month. I was like, oh, get him. Because Ali never, he doesn't kiss and tell. He doesn't talk about his income, you know, but this was the most that we've ever got him to say that. But like over $100,000 a month is 1.2 to possibly $1.3 million. I want to put something in perspective right here, folks, because this is the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. We interviewed in the past an amazing millionaire car salesman named Greg Jones. Greg Jones works at SAPA, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chevrolet, 40 minutes outside of St. Louis, right? And this is the crazy part. He averages about 55, 60 units a month, but his yearly income is only $350,000. And I don't mean only in a bad way. That's fucking phenomenal. But my point being is that he is a multi-millionaire for only making $350,000, a year, because most millionaires do not make millions of dollars a year. They're like Greg Jones, or like, not even that much. Some people only like make less than $100,000, but usually they're making a couple $100,000, or their family, combined as, $200,000 to $400,000, et cetera. They're not, buying random dumb shit. They're smart with buying, assets, not liabilities. They're smart in investments, or, developing a portfolio, et cetera. So my math is like killing me here, because if Greg Jones is only, and I mean this like sarcastically, only earning $350,000 a year in income selling 55, 60 cars, then holy shit. You know what I'm saying? If he's a multimillionaire, what the hell is Ali Reda doing? And that he's been selling for years and years now, 130 units a month. Yeah, I mean, like, hell, who knows? This guy could be worth tens of millions of dollars. It's crazy. You know what I mean? Just do the math, though. In the last 10 years, he's made over, let's just say $12 to $13 million just from car sales. So if he's investing, because I know he's got other interests and other, assets, but this is why I'm talking about it, not to give the man's personal business away, to say, holy shit, this is inspirational, that you could, get into the automotive industry, not have a pot to piss in, like me, you know what I mean? Like, when I got into it, I had bad credit, I lost 6 years of my life, and then to become a multi-millionaire and have relationships, have a great quality of life, it's just the American dream personified. That's why I love this industry. It's so rare, and Ali talked about that too, that, you have the true opportunity to make as much money as you can earn. And he said this, he said, a salesperson is untapped. Managers are going to be tapped, cut, chop, pay plans, whatever. But the salesperson has got the best gig. You don't have all the bullshit, the aggravation. You have the highest percentage of profitability distribution for that one unit sold. And so talk about that, LA. What are your thoughts on what he was saying on that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely, I love it. And that was really, I mean, it was a point that you were making that he was, kind of really co-signing is that, people really get down, about being the salesperson. It's crazy because let's just kind of, say, Sean, like a $20,000 car, right? And so let's just say there's, $2,000 of, gross that's created out of it or something like that, right? That might be a high number, but I'm just picking some random numbers, right? So if that's the case, then the salesperson is the person that takes the biggest cut out of the $2,000 that's left over, right? They get the biggest cut because there's so many other things that have to be paid for. As a business owner, we understand that the salesperson, they think they're getting the smallest cut, but they actually get the biggest cut. I think that was the thing, Sean, that made me different. And I don't try to make this about myself, but when I first came into Dealer Synergy and I was, being just an analyst, right? And I remember we had a trainer that was kind of really annoyed about some pay or something like that. They were trying to get some extra money, like, oh, well, we should get this, I should get this, I should get that. And you made a comment, you were like, man, the crazy thing is you're already getting the biggest cut, right? And instead of me being like, Sean's a liar, he's trying to get over on this guy, I actually sat back and did the math. And I'm like, wow, he's absolutely telling the truth. I had to break it down. I'm like, yo, this is crazy how this business ownership thing really works. And so I think that really helped me to understand the position that I was in once I became a trainer, and and it began to elevate up the ladder when it comes to being a director of training and everything like that. It just made so much sense to me, and I think a lot of salespeople, your paradigm can be shifted once you truly understand that you already get the biggest cut. Because trust me, you don't want to switch positions and put yourself in a position when you're getting less, because then it's a whole lot more work. Like Ali said, he said, man, the salesperson, works specifically. They have fiduciary responsibility. It still going to go to your dealership, but you work for the client, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you as a manager, you work for the owner. Right. And that's two totally different positions to be in. Again, you want to put yourself in a position where you're making the most amount of money. That's why he said himself, he's not necessarily looking into going into management. He likes business ownership, but he may not necessarily want to be a manager. He's been training, and we talked a little bit about this on the podcast we did. He's training and kind of teaching, some people, but that's not his thing. He loves his relationships. He loves his customers, and he loves being the person that's getting the biggest cut, I'm sure.
Right.
So, man. All right. So let's kind of go on to, I actually had a couple of favorite parts, but I want to talk about two of them specifically, right? Because I know that you like the money aspect of it, Sean, but I really believe the thing that he sounded the most like Sean Bradley on to me, and this is just knowing Sean over the last 13 plus years that I've known him. He said, listen, the non-believers, you absolutely do not make any difference in my life. If you don't believe that I'm doing what I'm doing, it makes no difference to me. But here's the thing. If you do believe it, then my existence would definitely make a difference to you. Man, I thought that was powerful. Like that was, you can't put your daggone, but can you wrap your mind around that? Listen, to not believe does nothing. It doesn't change any. I'm still going to make all this money. That's basically what he said. You can not believe me all you want to. I'm still going to make all this money. But if you do believe, it could absolutely change your life. Talk about that for a second, Sean.
You know what? It hit me, but it's like you ever see somebody drop like a ridiculous bar. They're just throwing freestyle, they're spitting, and then you hear it. You're like, "Yo, that's fire!" But then you hear it again, and just like when I'm hearing it come out of your mouth, I'm like, "Damn!" It was just nuggets like crazy. Yeah. So bust some shots. I'm telling you, we need to get a fucking soundboard on this podcast and shit like that, because I want sound effects. I want to bust shots for stuff and keep it gully, keep it Brooklyn, keep it Queens. You know what I'm saying? Keep it North Philly. But here's what I'm going to say. That is somebody that has literally found himself. You know what I mean? That's gone into that transcendental like Zen state, that nirvana. So in religion, in Buddhism, the the whole aspect, and even Hinduism, is to reach spiritual enlightenment, nirvana, right? That's what nirvana means, is spiritual enlightenment. This guy, I believe, has achieved that nirvana state of self-awareness, self-purpose. He knows who the fuck he is. He understands what his place in this universe is. He's a man on a mission to live out his mission and vision. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So yeah, man, like that and that's like real recognizes real, like you said, like that, man, that was this fire on that shit. And he just executed, you know what I'm saying? Like, someone like a Jay-Z doesn't need to turn around and go rah, 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 rah. He can just kill you with this little soft, you know what I mean? And you just got fucking slayed, bro, right or wrong. You just got slayed by Jigga. And so that's Ali. Ali don't need to turn around and get rollick with you and just he just turn around and say it again, repeat it again, man. It's so fire. Go ahead, let people hear it again.
Yeah, listen, it doesn't matter to me. If you don't believe, that doesn't change my life one single bit. But if you do believe, I could change your life completely.
Man, you know what I'm saying? Like, who said that? Like, was it Jay-Z said to Nas, "You made it a hot line. I made it a hot song." That was Jay-Z that stole that, right? Yeah. All right. So listen to me. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna put it out there right on public airwaves like this on Spotify, SoundCloud. That was some dope shit, Ali. You made that dope line. I'm gonna make it into a hot promo now. So LA, let's build on this. Remember that the Time commercial, that we did, time 86,040 seconds.
Yes.
There, I think that we should turn around and really kind of storyboard this with our people, and then just do some type of promo on it, because that shit is guerrilla. You know what I mean? So, I can you imagine if I don't know that intro that you did with the Ali Boumaye, like that was crazy. I don't know how my mind. You don't know how you are really good at taking my crazy manic thoughts and really personifying them and making them come to life. But I think that we're both in agreement. That was such a powerful statement. And like you said, that was just fucking gangster shit with passive love. You know what I mean? Let's turn around and create some type of professional, like you're doing the voiceover with that. You know what I mean? And I don't know, you could have almost like his silhouette in the background or some crazy shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that quote needs to live on, but we need to not just say it like in a podcast. We need to fucking put some motion graphics, animation, some fucking real production into that shit.
Yeah,
throw some fire.
Absolutely. Because, and I totally see the vision of it. I get where you're coming from, because it's like, we need to show what non-belief does, which is absolutely nothing, right? It doesn't change anything. But the person that does believe exactly what it could do for their life and how they could ascend. And so, man, I love where you're coming from on that one. We're going, that's tucked away, right? Just listen, coming to a screen near you, right? You'll pay attention, you'll see it coming up. Listen, let me talk about this, Sean, because this was the other thing that absolutely floored me. And maybe you knew this already, but I totally didn't know it, because people ask all the time, like you said, how does he do it? There's no way you can do it. It takes too long, right? And so he kind of shifted it. He said, man, not only does it not take me, 4 hours to get a deal done, right? Because he eliminated the stuff from his process that was a waste of his time. He said that he even said he doesn't do test drives, right? Now, here's the thing, car salesman, don't you go doing that, because you don't have his process. You don't have everything that he has in place. So don't think that that was his first step. He just said, oh, you know what? The first thing I got to eliminate is test drives. No, that wasn't how it went down. So let's make sure that's clear. But what he did say was, he said he got his process from 4 hours down to 20 minutes. And then not only that, he says he has 4 offices back to back. So kind of like set up like a doctor's office. You know how in a doctor's office, you got the big office, but it's broken up into 4 different sections, right? And so he said, what happens is, just like with a doctor's office, the nurse comes in and does the prep. I come in and do what I need to do. It takes me about 5 minutes. And then the nurse comes behind me and does the cleanup work, right? But while he said the deals are basically 5 minutes apart. So he said when he did 32 cars in a day, this was the system. There's a 20-minute system going around in a circle. And so the first deal starts. And then 5 minutes later, the next deal starts. And then 5 minutes later, the next deal starts. And 5 minutes later, the next deal starts. And then all he's doing is just going from room to room, taking care of his people, doing the relationships, everything that he does, he actually makes the sale. He has assistants that do, he has prep nurses, right? He has cleanup nurses, but he is doing it all. And that just painted a picture for me. Because I'm like, again, people ask questions and I think that they're asking because they want to try to make an excuse. And their first thing is going to say, well, I don't have 4 offices. How many? Well, I don't have this. I don't have that. Man, you got to build to it. And he gave you the exact formula to actually get that done when he told you to write down your every single day, every 15 minutes. My question is, how many people are actually going to do it? Because if you do, that puts you in the top 2%. So we had over 620 people that were listening to that webinar, watching the webinar. Again, the top 2%. The top 2%. So that means there's going to be less than 12 people that actually do it. And I want to find out who those people are.
Man, I got to tell you, I've talked to him for years. We've been friends. He's trained, in part Tiana. I've interviewed him numerous times. He's a friend. He's a good dude, man. And I knew a lot of this stuff. I did not know about the 4 offices, but what he did tell me before, and he did talk about it yesterday as well, last night, was that if you think of a busy doctor, right, or even a dentist, how is one dentist or one doctor able to see in one day, 30, 40 patients, 50 patients? Because they've got a process. They've got the process, they've got the infrastructure, and they've got the support staff. You have the oral hygienist, you've got the dental assistants, you've got the physician's assistants, you've got the nurses. I mean, if you have a process that you've really designed, you sculpted with precision, you've got the right support people in place, fucking sky's the limit. I mean, shit, if Amazon could figure out how I could order a fucking thing at midnight and that sits at my doorstep by 11 a.m. the next morning, that's less than fucking 12 hours, then we could figure out how we could get efficient doing stuff.
Absolutely. And he gave us the formula. That's my whole thing. We don't even have to figure it out. We just got to do this shit. Right? So
I love it.
Won't even actually do it. We always trying to figure some shit out. And I'm the king of that. I got to figure this out, right? I'm a very cerebral person and all that different type of stuff. But there's nothing to figure out. He told you exactly what to do.
So tell me, because I have something big I want to drop on you in a second, but tell me, what other things do you think that we should just kind of repeat? Because there was just so many things. I'll go. One thing that he said that he hammered in is relationships. Relationship selling is that he says that you've got to be involved in the community. And we got him to talk about specific things. Whether if you're going to go to the football team, if you're going to go to a football game, coordinate, speak to people. He said that one of his favorite things he does is daddy-daughter, dances and stuff, because there's other dads that are there that are just like him that got their daughters. There's things to talk about. He said, there is no word tracks. There is no thing. You're not trying to, you're just going to start relationships with people. Just start talking to people, start being involved, offer advice, be nice, and that's it. It's just organic. Kids that are in kindergarten and first grade don't have to fucking try so hard. They're like, hey, you want to play the Play-Doh? Yeah, boom. Yeah. Okay, let's be friends. Talk about that, LA.
Well, here's the thing. That's actually only half of the advice. And he talked about this, and this is where you've given the other half of advice plenty of times on this podcast. You and Josh Leader kind of talked about it. But what he said was specifically, he said, be present where you advertise. He said, be present where you advertise. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean, you should put up a banner at the basketball game and then be talking to people like, hey, listen, I sell cars. No. He said, and I love the genius of it, man. I'm telling you, I'm personally going to take advantage of the advice that he gave. He said, man, listen, if you put up the advertisement, right, you put up the billboard, right, and in the stadium, and then you just selling nachos, what happens is people go, oh, they see the billboard, but then when they meet you and you're not talking about, you're just handing them their nachos and you're saying, hey, man, hey, thank you so much. We really appreciate it, such and such. They're just building that relationship. If people are in the market at that point, hey, aren't you the one with they might say something like that, but you can't control that. All you can control is the relationship that you build with them and make sure that people remember how you made them feel. I say it all the time. People will forget what you said. They'll even forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so if you make it your business to make people feel good in the same arena that you advertise, like you got to kind of treat your advertising completely separate of you, the people will connect it for you. That was the full advice.
So I'm just trying to process all this, man. It was just such good information. Okay, one idea for all the listeners that work at dealerships is that your dealership, your manufacturer is absolutely most likely involved in some type of local or regional donations, whether they're for charity, they're for the local sports team, they're for the community. And a lot of times dealers just stroke checks because people hit them up because they're multi-million-dollar businesses. One of the best advices that I heard him say how you could get entrenched is just go to your dealer principal, go to your GM and say, hey, can I get a list of everything that our manufacturer's involved in? For example, like RK Chevrolet, I'm always proud to say, is one of our dealers, one of our closest clients, and closest friends. And they've been the number one Chevy dealership out of 3,000 Chevy dealerships for the last like 4 or 5 years for making strides for breast cancer. So that's a big thing that the manufacturer does and the dealership does. You don't have to go to that walk and participate in that, but you could and you should. If you want the community to support you, you need to support and love the community altruistically. So specifically, go to your dealer principal or GM and just get a list of everything the manufacturer supports, donates, is involved in, and ask if you could go to those events, whether it's local or not, have them send you. And anything that the dealership does, with sports or with the kids or with the community or with whatever, what you want to be able to do is just get involved. And the dealership's already paying for it. You get a free ride to be able to go off the dealership's, check in generosity. Right or wrong, LA?
Absolutely. And man, something that's really touching me here is kind of like a controversial point. So let's talk about this real quick, because when you say ask, I think sometimes the wrong message comes through, right? Because it's not like ask, like, oh, please, can I go? Like, you're not a child, right? You are a business owner, right? And so you have to kind of more so make suggestions, right? You got to kind of say, hey, you know what? I'll be the one to step up to do such and such. Like I always say all the time, we need more leaders, right? Originally, this podcast, we were going to talk about management training and leadership, like before last night happened, right? And we just kind of changed directions. But one of the things is, man, we need more leaders, and then managers need to be more coaching, right? It's just got to be coaching and leadership and not manager versus salesperson, right? As a salesperson, you're still a leader. And so it's your responsibility, right? It's not like, oh, can I? It's, hey, here's what I think is a great idea. Now, obviously, you want to have respect for your leader, right? You want to have respect for your coach. If they say, hey, you know what? We don't think that that's a great idea. Hey, you might have to redirect, right? You might have to, Sean, I love what you said about, second pencil. You might have to come back with another idea that's even better. But ultimately, if they're not the right leader and they're not allowing you to flourish the way you need to, you might need to make a career decision. So that's what Sean really means. And why do I know that he really means that? Because dadgummit, that's what I came from, right? Listen, I didn't ask Sean, you think maybe I could possibly go to the dealership? No, I just went, right? It was what it was, right? When it comes to, just leadership and doing certain stuff, I'm like, hey, listen, here's what we need to do. And if he disagreed, he would share that with me and say, LA, no, that's not what we're doing because such and such. And hey, listen, I'll go with it, right? It still works like that today. So people got to understand and learn how to be leaders and how to get what they know that they want and need in order to succeed in life, and stop waiting for somebody to give you permission to be successful.
Okay. LA, this is amazing. I want to transition. I want to close out with this because, again, there was like a 2-hour interview with Ali. Yeah. They're going to cut it down to probably like an hour and a half, and you're going to decide if it's going to be an hour and a half podcast or if it's going to be, two episodes, whatever. That's for you to decide in post and editing, whatever. But so I want to transition this. Okay, this is great. I love Ali. Now, one of the things that we released is the fact that my second book, my sophomore book, has been highly anticipated. And I want to go on record and talk about my first book. See, a lot of people didn't understand. Like I have so much diversity to me. I compare myself to a mixed martial artist professionally. Let's go through it. First and foremost, I'm a car salesman. And I'm a car salesman from last century, from 1999. I mean, just wrap your mind around that for a second. Like literally last century, I was selling cars before there was CRM, before there was internet, before social media, before Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, for all that shit. And so I used to sell 30 cars a month with not having a fraction of the resources that people today have. You know what I mean? That's the first thing. Second thing is that, I pioneered an entire national industry in internet sales. I was pushing 110 units back literally 19 years ago, fam, which people ain't even doing that today in 2020. I was doing that shit in 2001. And then from there, I became advanced digital marketer, certified. I pioneered video search engine optimization. And so because I'm in the NSA, I had a choice. I could either self-publish or I could publish. Now, here's the reality for listeners here is that real major label or major publishing companies like Wiley, I'm signed to the #1 business book publishing company in the country. Wiley doesn't give a shit about just the automotive industry, not in a bad way, but they're selling books. Their whole mission is to push units. So they want to have something. If they're going to put that's into Barnes and Nobles, Hudson booksellers, if you're going to put inventory distribution like that, and from your entertainment background, it's like putting units into the shelves like back in the day at Sam Goody and shit, is that you've got to make sure that it's versatile and it'll have legs. Being just a card salesman book is too niche, too niche. So what my strategy is I want to get signed to a major label, metaphorically speaking, because for the credibility, for the authenticity, for the fame, not for the money, because you make shit, signed, the royalties are a fraction. I mean, like it's crazy. And, most people only read one book a year. It's huge for marketing credibility. Grant Cardone is the one that inspired me. That I'll never forget. I tell the story all the time. I was in NADA, bumped into Grant. We're talking bullshit, and I've known him for years. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we just start talking. He says, became a New York Times bestselling author. And I'm like, "Wow, congratulations!" He says, "I'm gonna tell you right now, becoming a New York Times bestselling author has changed my life. No matter what." I've become a multi-gazillionaire. I've done this, I've done that. But you know what? On my tombstone, it could read New York Times bestselling author. It's like you're winning an Academy Award. It's next level shit, And so that got me on that path. And so I didn't want to do a book for the industry. So even though I'm a better car salesman and car expert than I am just a digital marketing expert, I had such a strong skill and I was so far advanced on video, right place, right time, right strategy. I wrote Win the Game of Googleopoly, which became an international bestseller. It was, written in multiple languages like Chinese and distributed out all over the world. It was crazy, man. Selling tens of thousands of copies of the book. But I knew that was going to, the next book, I'm not going to go back to Wiley because I want to write a legacy book. I want to write a book, and this is bold, but I'm Babe Ruth pointing into the stands right now for a grand slam home run because I'm telling the world, I'm putting everybody on notice. I'm going to drop the most prolific book in the entire automotive industry. Because if you ask anybody that's selling cars today or is a manager dealership today, okay, what is the most iconic car book? There's none. I mean? Some people might say Grant Cardone, and I love Grant, and I've got all of his books and I read them, but they're only a piece of the entire ecosystem. Do you see what I'm saying? It's only a piece. It's sales or closing or how to be a millionaire or real estate or whatever. But, again, when you look at 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, what that book has done for 40 million copies sold, over 8, 9 million people been through this certification training. Then you look at a Rich Dad Poor Dad, what Robert Kiyosaki did, what Napoleon Hill did, what Seth Godin did, what Jim Collins did, From Good to Great. These are books that people talk about. CEOs in multiple verticals are like, oh my God, these are prolific books that have changed lives and inspired greatness. So what book is there? It's a rhetorical question because I'm going to tell you the answer. There really isn't. There are some good books there. So my goal with writing the book, which is titled The Millionaire Car Salesman's Money Mind Map, Your GPS for Financial Success. That's what it is. Yeah. So my wife just came up with that qualifier. So it's got that subtext, because if you look at the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it goes into, subcategory on the actual subheader, so to speak. So again, I'm going to repeat it for a final time. The Millionaire Car Salesman's Money Mind Map, Your GPS for Financial Success. So what is the book? I'm going to tell you, and then I want to get your thoughts on chapters I like, because I already wrote it, but I want to just, bounce it against my, co-host right here, is that I want to really create a blueprint, but not just a blueprint, because blueprint to me is archaic. GPS precision. I'm talking about how you do facial recognition for terrorists and, in different countries. I want that global GPS freaking Google Earth with satellite, Tesla, Elon Musk technology. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, how can an automotive professional go in at whatever level, green pea, veteran, whatever, and just engage this book, and it basically will be the blueprint. I'm going to reverse engineer how you could become a millionaire. So to me, let me just go through. So, I have an outline, but I want to see if I should add or modify something. So I'm not going to go in order because I don't want to give it away, but I'm going to obviously talk about all the accomplishments that I've had right now. Okay, like because it's and shock and all, thesis statement, boom, here's what I've done, bitches, you know what I mean, and why you should care, why you're reading this book. Then I'm going to go into, but it didn't start here. Then I'm going to go into my chaotic, crazy background, losing 6 years of my life before I was 22 years old, all the adversity, all the shit that I've been through to here, you know what I mean? And so it's going to have like a motivation, inspiration type piece. Then I'm going to go to the current situation analysis. I'm going to talk about, okay, the current state of the automotive industry, and obviously it's going to be updated for 2020 because I started writing this a little bit a while ago, but I'm going to put all updated stats in here for right this second. What the attrition rate is, what the national averages are, and just basically I'm going to correlate, like I do during my trainings, about these people out there like Doug the Pug. I joke around and say that, fuck, Doug the Pug is living a better lifestyle than you. He's got more bitches than you, pun intended, for the pug. You got that LA, keep paying attention, but he's making almost $500,000 a year as an Instagram model with 3.8 million followers. Doug the Pug is living a better life than the majority of, cars professionals in the automotive industry. Then you got Ryan's Toys, this kid that's made $59 million by age 8. Do you see what I'm saying? It's absolutely crazy. And so if they can do it, you can do it. And then I'm going to, reference a couple people in the automotive industry, multimillionaire car salesmen. And then I'm going to go through the different things. And to me, because we say that car sales is like owning your own business. But here's the problem. We don't ever teach people how to be entrepreneurs or business owners in the automotive industry. We give them shitty training, if any at all. You give them OEM training, product training, and then road to the sale if you're lucky. But what about all the other pieces of it? So, for example, you have, obviously, yes, there's got to be product knowledge. There's got to be, the road to the sale. But then there's got to be time maximization, organization. Okay, you need to have skills there. You need to have skills in marketing, branding, advertising. You need to have skills fiscally responsible, for budgeting, financials, accounting, accountability, reconciliation skills. You've got to have great communication skills from all mediums: sight, sound, motion, emotion. You need to have, social media skills, online reputation skills, PR skills. You've got to have, objections, rebuttals. You've got to be able to project and forecast. You got to be able to qualify. I mean, like, there is all these fucking skills. People think it's easy being a car salesperson. Oh, anybody could do it. No, maybe back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, it was a little bit easier. But nowadays, with all this technology, all this competition, all these third-party providers, all these Facebook frauds bullshitting out there, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much shit to be able to do. And then when I asked Ali, what's important in this book is how you can generate your own business. So a big part of this book is, in my opinion, is about CRM. Customer relationship management. CRM's got to be in this book. Then it's how to generate prospects, how to build a book of business, how to generate referrals, how to be an influencer, how to build a tribe and a brand and breed raving fans. So I know this is a lot of shit, but guess what? I have the greatest of all times. I got Mr. Ali Reda is going to write the foreword of my book. So first, I want you because we never talked about this publicly, LA. What is your thoughts that, your friend and your coworker, your partner is writing this type of book? Do you think I'm crazy for aspiring that high to be at literally the level of like Dr. Stephen Covey, but for our industry? Can I do it? And if so, how?
Absolutely, man. So here's the thing. Are you crazy? 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, he's insane, right? To think that you could do something like that, Sean, is absolutely crazy, right? And that's what makes it possible, right? Because most people would never even think. Most people would never even, that wouldn't even cross their mind that they could ascend to that level. But again, that you can't live in that paradigm if you're going to be one of the greatest. And Sean V. Bradley always talks about being one of the greatest. And so that's why it works, right? But is it normal? Absolutely not. It's totally abnormal. But you can't have an abnormal life doing normal shit. So I love exactly what you're saying, man. And you know, the crazy thing is that everything that you just broke down, right? Table of contents, whatever you want to call it, is basically like the library of what it takes to be successful. So of course it's going to be, in a book format, but it's library, but it gives you, like you said, that GPS precision, because it's everything that you'll need. My Internet Sales 20 group from 13 presentation was all about that. See, so many people don't realize everything that it takes in order to be successful as a business owner / car salesman, right? It's all the same thing, right? People don't know what it takes. And so I love that it sounds like a lot. I promise you that. I promise you that I love that it sounds like a lot, because all of the punks are going to say, oh, no, I'm not doing all that. I'm just going, I need to do something different. Thank you. Appreciate you. Get out the industry, get out the way, because we are looking for the winners. We want the people that's like, what is it? Give it to me. I can do that, because it's all about the prize at the end, right? So many people always focusing on the price that you got to pay. The price is going to be there, right? The price, it is what it's going to be, but you have to focus on the prize. And when you focus on that, man, the price doesn't even matter. What it took, nobody's talking to Bill Gates and like, oh man, what did you have to do to get there? I would never want to do that. Of course you will. Whatever you had to do to get to Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Ali Reda's, Sean Bradley's level. Listen, just go ahead. Just go ahead and do it. Or you just don't want it for your family the way that they do. And I don't believe that that's really the case. I mean, I don't really think that anybody can kind of look at their sons, daughters, wives and husbands and say, you know what, I just don't want it for you the same way these other guys want it for their family, right? So sometimes Sean thinks like he'd be like, LA, you like a marshmallow and everything like that. But sometimes I got to bring it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I just need to bring it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm a coach, right? So I know when to bring it. But I mean, that's what I'm thinking when it comes to you putting together this millionaire car salesman money mind map. GPS for your success, man. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually, and I didn't say this too, but I'm also going to be talking. I'm going to be interviewing, like, one of my closest friends in the world is a special agent with with special agent, I can what branch or what have you, but he's also a CPA in accounting, and he's also got a master's degree in accounting. And, I'm going to actually, and I have, my wife's brother, my brother-in-law is a VP of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And he's like a financial wizard, this guy. So I want to interview those people, and I'm going to interview people like, that are wealthy. They're centimillionaires, 100 millionaires. They're practically billionaires. And I want to also figure out in this book, if you start getting that check, how could you invest it? Do you see what I'm saying? That's crazy too. So it's not going to, how do you sell cars? Now you got that money. Now you got that drip, right? So what are you going to do with it? Okay. And so that's why I'm so excited, man, because you know why? My daughter is the future. She's a 20-year-old young woman in the automotive industry. I want to write this book for her and for the people that are going to come up, that are coming up now. And right. I want to inspire millions of people, all over the world on and how you could take the automotive sales, because everybody needs transportation, how you could take that and be able to build a career that can build an empire. So my question to you is this, and then we got to cut it today, Elliot, because just be specific. What other details do you think are important? So if you were selling cars, or if you were thinking about selling cars and you wanted the Bible or the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People type, like amazing book, what should I put in there? I know I covered a lot of stuff, but did I miss anything? Is there something that you think is really important? What would make this truly that prolific book? What do I need to have in my chapters, bro?
One of the things that I'm thinking, man, is I want to stay not interpersonal, but I'm thinking like inside people skills, meaning talking to yourself, how to have a conversation with yourself. Because obviously one of the things that people even last night were asking is, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay? And I know that's not something that you you don't really struggle with staying motivated as far as I know. Maybe, again, I think everybody probably does in some way, shape, or form, but there's very rare times that I see you, quote unquote, unmotivated, because if anything, sometimes you just say, you look at me, and then you get motivated again, right? But how do you have that conversation with yourself and keep yourself on track? Because so many people are just living, I talk about it, in a down world. And if I need to, kind of help with this chapter, I would love to do it, because again, people come from where we come from, meaning they come from the bottom. They come from Lodi Bar. But they have never seen, right? For me, people talk about MTV Cribs and things to get inspired. Well, listen, I ain't had no goddamn MTV Cribs, right? Because I couldn't see none of that stuff. So how do I, and for me, it might be physical, but for you, it's mental. For most people, it's a mental block, right? How do they get to the point where they feel like they even deserve success? And maybe it could quite not qualify, but trust me, I think it does, because most people who don't even think they deserve success probably wouldn't even pick up your book. But let's just say somebody gave it to them as a gift, right? How do they even begin to believe that they deserve to be in the upper echelon, the top 20%, the top 10, the top 2% of the world in anything, right? People maybe forgiving themselves. I mean, that type of stuff. That's what I think people need, in addition to everything else that you talked about. Don't leave that out.
No, definitely plan. That's part of the mindset. You know how we roll: mindset, skill set, box set. You know what I mean? So, and that's part of the reason why I share with you that I'm starting with what I've accomplished now, but where I've come from, because, that's going to be part of it is get into their mindset. Because if I can't, I'm going to talk about see, do, get, and changing paradigms absolutely in the beginning. So we're on the same page. Okay, good. So we're there, brother. That's good advice that you gave me, hammering that home, because again, we could talk about all these skills, but if they're really not emotionally bought in, and spiritually bought in, they're not going to ever do this. So I think that's great advice. All right, man, let's turn around and wind this down, because I got another interview I got to do, and it was great. I like to do these, man. I like these a lot. And I got to tell you, I cannot wait till the office is recon. We're getting closer. My new desk is coming in, the new studio's coming in, and we're going to be, doing these podcasts in there. It's so blessed, man. And 2020 starting out with a bang. We're doing so well. And again, LA, thank you for all that you do with this podcast. This was your idea, man. And it's taken off like crazy. People love it, and I love doing them.
Yeah, man, I love being a part of it. And I'm loving all the listeners, man. Listen, I always tell you, you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most amount of time with. And you've just been spending time with Mr. L.A. Williams, the blind phone master, and Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP. It's your turn. Go out there and be a millionaire car salesman. Talk to y'all later.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.